people don't know what they're buying. Like the latest craze at the moment is this decentralized finance, or shortened, hyphenated to DeFi, DEFI, which is short for decentralized finance. Everyone's jumping on this like it's the next greatest thing and everyone's going to get rich. No one even knows what they're buying.
Yeah.
They're buying onto it because it's hype, because everyone's talking about it. But the fact is, it's an absolute crock of shit. Decentralized finance, to give you a real quick breakdown of what it actually is, you got to think of it as traditional lending platforms like a bank, right? You go to a bank and you say, I want to borrow $10,000. Sometimes they want proof of income, and they might want you to put a deposit down. They want, what assets have you got to back up this loan? What have you got to collateralize this loan? Sometimes you don't have to do anything. You can get, pretty easy to get personal loans these days. And then you pay back that loan with interest. If you default on that loan, the bank loses out. They can come and take your shit, but if you lied on your application, or if you didn't have any stuff to back up your application in the first place, then the banks lose out, and that's the end of it. Okay, now with decentralized finance, they actually make you collateralize, or I should say over collateralize your loans. So if you go to one of these new decentralized finance banks and say, hey, I want to borrow $10,000, okay, cool. Give us 15,000 and we'll give you 10,000. And you're probably looking at me thinking, well, what the fuck's the point of that? Why would I give someone 15,000 to lend 10,000? And that's kind of stupid, right? Well, the whole idea is over collateralize the loan so that they know that you've got the money to pay it back. But it seems quite stupid because you've got 15,000. Why are you going to borrow money and pay interest on 10,000? The idea is you're gonna hedge your, say, Ethereum. Maybe you've got $100,000 worth of Ethereum. You don't want to sell any of your Ethereum, but you want some money right now. Okay, it's like using your house as collateral for a loan. You don't want to sell your Ethereum, you don't want to sell your house, but you want 100 grand to play with right now, so you can use your house as collateral and get a loan for $100,000 and go and buy a sports car or go and put it on the pokies or whatever you were going to do with it, right? So the whole idea is like, I've got a whole heap of ETH. I don't want to sell my ETH. It's worth 100,000, but I'd really like some cash right now. So you lock it up in one of these decentralized platforms. And, if you've locked up $100,000 worth of ETH, well, you might be able to get a loan for $70,000 cash, USD, or, generally in the form of a cryptocurrency coin. It would be USDT, Tether. It'd be a stable asset. You get given a stable asset. So now it's like, okay, I've locked up my $100,000 worth of ETH. I've now been given $80,000 to go play with. Now I can go and trade and do my things and spend my money. I've got to pay back my loan with interest. And hey, if I default, if I blow that cash and I can't pay back my loan, they keep my ETH.
Yeah, gotcha.
So you see how the bank doesn't lose out?
Yep.
Because you've literally got a safety net there. Or I should say the banks have got a safety net. They can't lose out. Because if you can't pay back your loan, if you do a runner because you lied on your application, it's like, well, fuck you, mate. We'll keep your Ethereum. It's $100,000 worth. Thanks for the 20 grand tip. That's essentially how it works. So that side of it works. And, the money that the borrower pays in interest is then obviously diverted to the platform and also paid to the lenders. So me personally, I'm a lender. I put my money or stable assets into these lending platforms and I earn interest on it because somebody's borrowing my money and they're paying me back interest. The safety for me is if they can't afford to pay back their loan, I get to keep their shit. So I'll get paid out no matter what. That's fine. Right now, a lot of these companies are all jumping on the back of this and going, oh, we need to do this. This is crazy. This is crazy. But instead of actually paying you back the interest in USD, like I do, like I get paid in USD. So I get paid my interest back. My earnings are in USD. I can actually do something with USD, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of these new companies that have been popping up here, there, and everywhere are just complete scams. They don't actually pay you back in USD. They pay you back in some wrapped up bullshit shitcoin. They'll pay you back in what's called a governance token, which essentially gives you the right to vote on their platform, which is absolute nonsense because no one gives a shit about what's happening on the platform. So they give you some other shitcoin that they just printed out of thin air. Meanwhile, the borrowers are borrowing money. They're paying back interest to this company, but this company, instead of paying back their lenders in the money that they've earned, they've just given them some fucking candy. Here you go. Here's some shitcoins we just created. Use them for something. They're cool. They're called governance tokens and you can use them to vote. They're fucking scams, left, right, and center. But people jump on them because they have these astronomical gains and they think, oh, got to get on this one. Oh, what's the next one? Got to get on that one. They're all going to fall over. Eventually, everyone's going to realize that this is all a crock of shit. And we've already started to see it. You know, there was these sushi swap and all that sort of bullshit that was popping up recently. You know, all these coins that got created and people were throwing a lot of money into a lot of pools that people were putting a lot of liquidity into. All of a sudden, what they call a rug pull, overnight, these places disappear and all that money's lost. And all these people sit there going, oh, I thought it was going to be the next this, and I thought it was going to be the next that. This is going to happen a lot more. And this is pretty much the ICO bubble of 2020. We saw the exact same thing in 2017. We saw all these ICOs, cash grabs. Everyone's claiming that they're going to create the next best payment system and we're going to do this, and smart contracts that, and smart contracts this. Essentially doing a fundraiser. You know, give us your real money because we can use some real money, and we'll give you these pretend money because we're going to tell you that we're going to do something with this company later on. However, you know, a whole heap of promises and hopes and dreams, and they end up falling on the ass and doing nothing. And, you know, most of these people are the ones left holding the bags because they thought these power tokens and these fucking voting shit was going to be worth something. And, you know, 2 years later, they're not worth shit. Yeah. Meanwhile, the people who created them out of thin air are now rich because you've just paid them with actual real money. Or stable assets like Bitcoin and Ethereum, or I should say more stable assets. And what we're seeing now in 2020 is just a repeat of that. We're just seeing the same thing. We're seeing people jumping on the hype, creating a complete clone of the last one. Everyone wants to jump on it because they missed the last one. We see these astronomical gains, these astronomical drops. Eventually the rugs are going to get pulled. Everyone's going to realize it's a waste of time, and they're all going to slowly just trickle into nothing. And we're going to have a whole heap of new people saying crypto's a scam. Unfortunately, that's the cycle we live in. Crypto is like, it's in fast forward. We have the exact same cycles in the equity markets, but they take a lot longer. You know, they take 10 years to play out. Whereas in crypto, they take 2 years to play out or a year to play out. So yeah, crypto does get a bad name because there's a lot of scams. There's a lot of people taking advantage of uneducated people. That's what it comes down to, I guess, is the fact that this is a pretty fresh world. It's very hard to understand. And with a lot of big words like smart contracts and protocols and blockchain and all this sort of shit, you just go, I have no idea what he's talking about, but he sounds really smart. So I'm going to put my money down on this thing. Right? So it's just uneducation. You don't know what they're talking about. You think it's good, so you put your money down. But really, they just took advantage of you because they knew you wouldn't understand what they're talking about. They knew you wouldn't understand how this system works. And they knew you were just putting money on it because you thought you were going to get rich. Eventually, they just run off with your money. So yeah, crypto's got a bad name. For me, I don't invest in cryptocurrency, whatsoever. I should say, I don't invest in any altcoins. The only cryptocurrency I invest in is Bitcoin because it's what I consider so big now that it can't be centralized. Because as soon as you got any sort of centralization in one of these organizations, they just turn to shit. They're a cash grab. If some specific person or a group of people profit from a coin getting traction, it is a cash grab. It's a business model. People don't go to that much effort to create a cryptocurrency just for the world to have a better life. They create it to make money. They wouldn't give up their time and resources to create something for no benefit whatsoever. So they're always going to be a cash grab. There's always going to be, what they'd normally do is say, hey, we're going to change the world with this new blockchain cryptocurrency token thing. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. By the way, we've just printed them out of thin air. I've given myself half of them, and I'm telling you they're worth $1 each.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what happens? Everyone starts buying it, thinks, oh, this guy said it's going to be the next best thing. It's going to change the world. I've got to buy some of this shit. This could end up like Bitcoin. It could be $20,000. Everyone buys it. Price goes crazy. Meanwhile, the guy who created it is sitting there with half of the fucking bag, not doing anything on the actual system to make it worth anything, then just goes, oh, I'll just sell my shit at you idiots now. And they make off with the money. Yeah. And because of the, unregulated, you look at most of them are like owned in the Cayman Islands and shit like that. There's no obligation for them. They can literally run off with their money, wipe their hands and say, sorry, mate, you bought into this shit, you dumbass. You know, there's no way to catch them. They didn't do anything wrong, essentially. Yeah. It was uneducated people buying into dumb shit. So I guess the biggest problem is with cryptocurrency and all the scams is education. People are just, they're too fixated on the quick, fast money, and they'll buy into any bullshit that someone fucking shows them that's shiny instead of actually realizing what's going on. And yeah, like I said, the only one that I really consider to be decentralized and too big to actually control is Bitcoin. I'm happy to invest in Bitcoin. Not necessarily buying Bitcoin because I think it's going to go from $10,000 to $80,000 tomorrow, but I know it's a pretty stable cryptocurrency asset that I'm sure will be worth more in the long run. And I'm happy to keep accumulating that. I would not be putting my money in any other altcoin as a hedge, put it that way. Like I wouldn't go and put $100,000 into a cryptocurrency and say, I'm just going to put this here for safekeeping. There's a good chance it'll be worth 90% less within a couple of years.
Yeah. So what are the ways that you actually, what are the ways that people are making money out of the crypto market besides buying and holding or trading it, or what's?
I guess there's a few ways people make money in cryptocurrency. There is the hype. So people will buy into something that hasn't got any traction yet. Might sound like it will get traction. They'll park some money in there. They'll wait for it to get traction, gets hyped, goes pumped, and they will jump ship after that. That's one way a lot of people make money, and that's where a lot of the talk comes from, all the YouTube gurus and stuff. That's what they're doing. They're just trying to jump on the next best thing that's going to pump, make those quick gains and get in and out, which is perfectly fine. People make money off that. I don't really find it to be an honest way of doing things, but you know, that's how they do it. And then there's trading. So trading is just understanding how the markets move, being able to predict or have a higher probability of prediction of market movements, and getting in and out and making profit on the price action. If you believe this asset's going to go up and move 10%, you can put some money on that, move 10% and get out. If you believe the price is going to go down, you can put a short position on and make money on the way down. You make money either ways. That doesn't really matter. But yeah, I guess trading is probably a big part. And then obviously you got manipulation and yeah, there's all sorts of stuff. But trading's huge. It's massive.
And how long have you actually been trading for?
I've been mucking around for probably about 3 or 4 years, taking it seriously for probably about 2, I would say, a little bit over 2 years. I probably started to take it seriously. No, actually, so it was about 3 years ago. I started to take it seriously and actually did a course, got myself educated with the boys at MBA, and then went on by myself after that. And I'm a bit of a over-educator. I like to know everything about what I'm doing, so I don't like to just do the basics. I'm a mechanical engineer by trade, and I've always been one of those people who like to pull things apart and figure out how it works and then build it better, put it back together better, faster, more efficient, that sort of thing. So I did the course and understand how technical analysis works, but I really wanted to dive in and figure everything out and see if I could really make a go of it. So I probably spent another year or so just on my own, doing a lot of development, working with a couple of other people, just reading, watching, just doing as much as I can, and then putting it into practice and trying what I learned and seeing if I can do something better with it. Eventually got pretty good at it. And the guys who taught me, Mick and Jace, ended up reaching out and wanted me to come teach their students. So that's kind of how we went full circle. So I've been with MBA now for about 2 years.
Awesome. So for people that are getting started or people that want to just like dip their toe in the water, how much money do they need to get started? And what's the best, if you were starting over again, what would be the best? Actually, no, just go with that. How much money do people need to get started if they just want to dip their toe in the water and just get a feel for it?
I strongly suggest people start very, very small. And this is something that I've worked on over time because I realize the importance of the psychology side of trading. It's a very, very big part of trading. There's no good coming into this thing with $10,000 and trying to turn it into $20,000. You'll probably lose it. You might turn it into something really, really fast, really, really big, really, really fast, but you'll probably see it all disappear just as fast. So what I normally tell people that it's not about coming into this thing with the expectations of coming out with some money next week or next month. It's about coming to this thing and trying to train your brain or condition your brain and mind to deal with trading so that you can get good. And then you ask that question about how much money I need to put in. So I normally tell people like $100. Everyone's different. But the theory is put in what you're prepared to lose. So not everyone's prepared to lose $1,000. So I wouldn't come in with $1,000, but $100 is something that people go, look, I can give this a shot for $100. The reason I say $100 is with cryptocurrency, it's probably one of the best markets or financial traded markets to get into because you don't have big lot sizes. The fees are very, very small. So you can actually get started with $100 and do a lot of trades. You can't do that on equity markets and Forex. So it's probably one of the best markets to learn how to trade in. And then what you learn in cryptocurrency and with MBA is applicable to all markets. So $100 is, yeah, you can do $10 trades. You can do $5 trades. You're paying like 5 cents for fees. So you can actually just do trade after trade after trade. And you can get them all wrong. It doesn't matter. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to get them wrong. But the good thing is if you're doing it with $100 and each trade's only $5 or $10, you're going through the motion of trading, but you're not really hitting the emotion of losing money because that's something that you've really got to condition and train. You can't jump in here with 10 grand, put half of it on your first trade and then see it go red. Your mind will just go pop. Like you can't deal with those losses. It puts you in a really bad place. You start doing things like revenge trading. You start thinking that you're not good at this. You'll do something dumb or you'll just give up. But if you start small and yeah, you might lose half your money within the first month, but if you lose $50, it's not going to kill you. It's not going to destroy your life, but you realize like, okay, I need to change a few things and get better at this. Let's try it out again, another $100. Let's see what I can do. The moment you can start holding onto that $100 and maybe start turning it into 120 over the month or 150, then you can go, okay, I've got the hang of it. I can turn 100 into 150. Let's try it with $500 or let's try it with 1,000 or, just slowly increase, maybe just go up to 200. Because the moment you go from 100 to 1,000, you've just added a zero onto every trade. So all those trades you were doing at $10 where you could potentially lose $5 or $10, now you're putting $100 on it. You could potentially lose 50, $100. And even that might be a kick in the ass per trade. You'll take a few losses and you'll be like, oh man, this week I've lost $200. You've got to go through that before you start dealing. Like I've done trades and lose like $4.5 grand on a trade. Like, and you've got to just be able to write it off and go, that sucked. Next one, you just got to move on. But if you take that loss, like, fuck, I just lost $4.5 grand. Maybe I'm no good for this. Fuck, I don't know what to do. Like you start doubting yourself. Or you do something dumb like, oh, I've got to win that $4.5 grand back. I needed that $4.5 grand. So then you go all in on the next trade, bam, wipe an account out. Seen it time and time again. It's actually embarrassing, but that's what happens. I think you got to start small and just keep building up. $100, then $500, then $1,000. Eventually you develop a trading system and a plan and you become disciplined and your psychology is in check and you see what you see on the charts. You've got a good enough system that you actually make money. And it might seem small at the start, but it's just a matter of adding zeros after that. So if you can start getting to a point where you're turning your $1,000 into $1,500, and then you're turning, $1,500 into two and so on and so forth, you get your account up to 10 grand. Now all of a sudden, each month you're making $1,000, $1,500, and that's something that can really help you out. That's something that pays your bills, maybe even pays your mortgage and stuff like that. And if you just keep compounding, eventually you build an account big enough and all of a sudden one day you'll look back and go, holy shit, I'm doing like $60,000 trades now. Yeah. And my mind's okay with that because I slowly conditioned it.
It's a big leap. And that's one of the things I really liked about what Michael says about trade. Is it Satoshis? Instead of, trading Satoshis instead of dollars. Yeah.
Yeah, because we have an emotional attachment to dollars. If we start talking about losing $10 or $15 or $50, you're like, oh, I don't want to lose $50. But if I said to you, lose 0.0005 of a Bitcoin, you'd be like, I don't know how much that is. Who gives a shit?
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, trading for sats is different because your brain's not wired correctly for that. Or what we normally do is just trade for percentages. So I don't even really look at the dollar value of my account. It's always about percentage and building my account percentages. And the longer you look at it, the better it is. So I normally go like month to month base. So I look at my performance over the month and go, oh yeah, I'm up 4% for the month. That's not too bad. Next month, it might be like, ooh, down 1%. That wasn't a very good month. Next month, 10% up. And you're like, fuck yeah, killed it this month. It changes. But yeah, you got to think a little bit more long term. So even those few shit months, if you deal with them at the short term and think, man, this month sucked, you get too hung up on that. Whereas if you look at the end of the year and go, shit, if I add them all up, over the year I had, there's a couple of pretty bad months. There's a couple of pretty flat months, but there's a couple of really good months. And I ended up like 45% up on my portfolio, man. Yeah, if your account size is $100,000 and you just made 45 grand on the side for a year of like pressing a few buttons on your keyboard, it's not a bad income. And it just goes up from there.
Yeah. So how long does it take someone from start to like complete newbie to get to a point where they're confident just to be starting to place trades?
That's a good question. So I think you can answer this a few ways. So the common answer that you're probably looking for is like, coming into MBA, how long before I start making money? Realistically, I'd probably say give it 90 days, 3 months. Because I normally say to people in the first month, all you're going to be doing is learning, observing, absorbing, and just taking it all in, understanding how everything works, just getting the feel of things. You probably wouldn't even place your trade in your first month. So you're not really going to be that good in your first month. The second month, you'll probably start playing around a bit. You'll probably fumble around, make a few mistakes, have a few wins, have a few losses. By the second month of actually trading, so the third month, you would probably start to find a little bit of a groove and have a few wins and go, hey, this is actually pretty cool. Just made 30 bucks on that one, just made 60 bucks on that one. And then your account starts to grow. And that's when you start putting in a bit more money. If I was to give a realistic expectation of how long before I start making anything decent, so within 90 days, I'd expect you to actually start making some money. Won't be anything significant, but you'd start to see positive returns on your account.
Rolling.
Yeah. In terms of like how long would it take to see anything significant in terms of maybe seeing like $1,000 to $2,000 a month in your account, I'd probably say your trading account would need to be at about $10,000. And if you've compounded it over time, look, it probably could take you realistically 6 to 7 months or so, I reckon, of knuckling down and doing it properly. Some people it takes longer, some people shorter, but I think that's kind of a realistic expectation. Sort of between that 6 to 12 months, I say you'd probably have picked it up by then and you'd be running with it pretty good. And then it's just compounding the longer it takes. Everyone has a different goal. Like my goal was originally to get out of what I was doing and do this full time, but not everyone wants to be a full-time trader. Some people just want to do it part-time, make some extra money on the side. So they might be happy with just keep playing with 10, 20 grand and make that extra $1,000 a month on the side. And that's cool. That's them done. For someone who wants to take it seriously and start doing it full time and rely on this for an income, that's a different story. It actually takes a long time to do that. And it's the unfortunate truth that you need quite a large account size and you need a lot of data, like years of data. So look, it'd probably take you a good couple of years and probably an account size of well over $100,000 before you could take it seriously to the point of living off trading. Because realistically, if you trade sensibly like you're a professional, you're not going to be doubling your account every year. You'd be lucky to, make 50% of your account balance for the year. That'd be a very, very good year. And you can imagine if you had a $100,000 account, which seems like quite a lot, if you were to make $50,000 a year, not exactly something that you would replace your wage on. It's a pretty low income wage. So then you start looking at, well, shit, if 50% of your account is a unrealistic outcome and 50K a year is, I need more than that. Well, then you start looking at like, okay, I'm going to need like $200,000, $300,000 bank account, trading account in order to make say 20, 30% a year and maybe make $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 a year on trading. Obviously you're going to have a pretty relaxed lifestyle, but yeah, it takes time.
Yeah.
I know it's pretty shit to hear it.
I think it's amazing to hear it. I think it's amazing to hear it because I've been around a lot of different groups. Everyone always talks about the shiny side and how much money you can make and what other people are doing, and that's one of the things that's refreshing about meeting Michael and you guys Just actually, it's real.
There's no need to sugarcoat it. If you sugarcoat it, all you're going to do is have a whole heap of disappointed people saying, "You told me I was going to be rich in 6 months." But the reality is, you're not, unless you're like extremely good at this and just pick it up straight away, run with it, and have a whole heap of money, maybe a little bit of a gambling mentality. But yeah, I think the realistic expectation is you'd probably assume like a good couple of years of like in the trenches trading before you could really call yourself a professional trader, someone who actually lives off trading.
Yeah, because I remember the story that Michael talks about Chen.
Yeah. Man, we've got tons of stories. Like I said, I've been with NBA for like 3 years. I've seen that many people come and go, and you can pick them a mile away. Like I can tell when people enter our community, when they start flashing their wins and showing what they're doing, I just look at it and go, he'll be gone in a month. Yeah. You can try and pull them up. I've tried to talk to specific people, but most of them don't want to listen, because even though you're the one teaching them, they want to hear what they want to hear. If you're patting them on the back, telling them you're doing everything right, then yeah, they'll listen to you. Yeah. But if you pull them up and say, mate, you're being a dick, you've got no risk plan, they don't want to hear that because they're making money. Clearly, I don't know what I'm talking about. If they're making money and I'm telling them not to make money, well then but yeah, like I said, we've seen it before. I've seen people lose a lot of money and it's shit, but it's because they're not really paying attention to what we're teaching, because they're actually doing the complete opposite. We teach risk management. We talk about starting small. We talk about, taking wins, taking losses and stuff, but starting with low leverage. We teach everything that you need to do to take this seriously, but people skip over a few of those steps and think that they know better. And then, they normally come undone.
You got to build the foundation.
Yeah. Slow and steady. Takes a while, but you get there.
Yeah. Well, with that in mind, so what advice would you give to someone who's starting out?
Okay. Going by from the amount of people I've seen come and go, and admittedly, a lot of people try trading, a lot of people don't last. I'd say it comes down to the will or commitment to actually do it. Anyone probably the most single-handed thing that I can point at for all the people who I've traded with in NBA who have, I would call, made it, as in they've quit their jobs, they've sold their businesses, they now trade full-time, they're making more money than they've ever had before, they've got more time on their hands, they're doing the things that they love with the people that they love. All those people had the exact same thing in common, which was like commitment and determination. So I would say, if you really want to make a go of this, you've got to really want it. You've got to really be committed and determined, discipline, follow the rules. Don't be a dick and think you're going to, find a shortcut. There is no shortcuts. Shortcuts fucking fall off the end of the bridge, like you just got to understand it takes time. Yeah. I normally try and tell people, like, if I told you in a couple of years, if you just followed this plan, you'll be making more money than you ever had before. But unfortunately for the next 2 years, it's going to suck. Mm-hmm. People don't want to go through those 2 years of sucking to be able to, potentially earn over $100,000 a year and have all this time in their hand. But for the people who do go through that 2 years of sucking, they get to that point of having all that money and free time. They're like, holy shit, I'll do it 10 times over. Like, I don't care. Once you get there, you realize it's so worth it. But so many people just don't want to give up that time. They want money so fast. They don't want to have to make fuck all money for 2 years before they start making bullshit money. They want that money now. And if it's going to take too long, they won't do it.
Yeah.
People are lazy.
Yeah.
So yeah, don't be lazy. Yeah. Commit. Get it done.
Yeah. Awesome, Donnie. Mate, thank you so much for your time.
No worries, man.
I understand how busy you are and really, really appreciate it. So
no problem.
I look forward to hanging out with you in the community.
Too easy, man.
Yes. Hey, before I go, can I just show you? I submitted my homework for the charts last night. Just are you the one that gets them?
Shams normally does them. If you post them in the Facebook, in the albums, and then you go to the different homework modules, and you got to post a picture.
That's what I put last night.
Yeah. Did he? I was just on a call with him, so he's been pretty busy. But yeah, that's essentially what you do.
So I just
And
wait now, or do I have to follow that up? Or
no,
yeah.
just wait there. He'll come back and do it all.
Awesome. Cool, man.
Too easy.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
No worries, man. Catch
Bye.
up. Bye.